Arcade. How the fuck do you spell Arcade? Arcade. Will you play Arcade Unchained Fresh Start? No, I'd rather wait for the second game, actually. Here we go.
Hey, what up, boys? So, Arcade is a game. And that's pretty much all the research Kakao did when they took over the publishing rights for this franchise. A lot of us here in this community are well aware of the ups and downs of Arcade, and many of us are probably looking forward to Arcade 2. However, it's...
So, did we talk about this on the stream or not? So, whenever I did the Wrath of the Lich King tournament with Soda and Nick, Soda was talking about how he was excited for Arcade 2. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be pay to win. And then Nick says, well, that's good for us. Just fucking randomly. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. We did not? Soda was super hyped, though? Yeah. Yeah, he was really excited about it, too.
It's not the game itself I'm worried about. It's the reason Ashes of Creation exists in the first place.
Okay.
The goddamn monetization. And today, now that the first trailer is out, I want to discuss Kakao Games as a publisher and XL Games as developers.
Okay.
But before we get into that, our patrons and I would love for you to grab yourself a Goldberg Cola, because although I don't have a lot of experience with Arcade before it turned into the mess that it is today, I do have a fair amount of hours exploring the game's systems and mechanics, comparing them closely to our highly anticipated MMORPG. But most importantly, I know what Kakao are like as publishers, and today...
Didn't this guy play Black Desert? I'm pretty sure he did.
Hopefully, I can set some expectations for Arcade 2 before they start dishing out their corrupted brand of copium. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we? So before we begin, I think a first impressions of the trailer is in order. I think I speak for everyone when I ditto the standard reaction to Korean MMORPG trailers.
But what about the...
Yeah, the standard reaction is this. Wow, looks great. I hope it's not pay to win.
Monetization.
And don't worry about that, my friends. We'll be jumping into that soon. Alongside this trailer reveal, we also have some interesting information related to the game's direction to accommodate it. So I will of course be discussing that as well. First of all, the game looks stunning, thanks to the new Unreal Engine 5. I'm sure most of you watching this video are already well acquainted with the power of Unreal Engine 5, so we won't dwell on this for much longer, other than it looks great. Almost too great. Generic, one might say, but we have a video about this particular topic coming soon. And
I do think that a lot of the design in this game is not very stylistic. Like, it would be very hard for me to look at something in this game and think to myself, oh, that's because of this game. Yeah, it's not stylistic, but it's also very early on, so it's hard to say.
Anyway, to elaborate on the details related to Arcade 2, XL Games are focusing on a more personal storyline around the mysteries of forgotten civilizations in this world, fleshing out the lore, as this MMO does indeed share the same world and story as Arcade 1. This is a very similar situation to Guild Wars 2, and the premise worked very well in that MMO considering its success, creating some interesting ties to past characters with nostalgia bait and familiarity. Although it is worth noting, the major differences between these two MMOs is that Arcade is aiming for roughly the same time period instead of hundreds of years into the future like Guild Wars 2 chose to go with. Additionally, the content available for this sequel is aiming to build upon the unique aspects that made Arcade so appealing, creating a rarely seen nowadays seamless open world with non-linear progression. And although these sound like buzzwords in the current year, I will admit that Arcade 1 did a fantastic job at this particular aspect due to its sandbox-focused nature rather than the cookie-cutter theme park formula we are all used to. And whilst we're on the topic...
That's what I'm very curious about, is like how the actual design of the game is going to be. That's what really matters the most, is like open world, sandbox, theme park, MMORPG. All of these are just words You know, like I don't place as much value in them until I actually see like what the content is that defines it. Turn it down a bit, yeah.
Of Sandbox, XL Games are of course expanding upon the core systems and features that made Arcade unique. The housing is returning as it was one of the most beloved systems and is praised to be one of the best housing systems in this genre. They're also planning to improve upon it with more customizations and even a system
Hopefully
to
they improve
create
the frame rate,
towns
too.
with your friends and guild members. Next, the trade pack system is also being reintroduced with a fresh coat of paint allowing for focus on solo, group, and raid tier caravan runs. An interesting concept and a concept that is focused on fixing the damning flaws of the current game. No doubt a restructure of the PvP systems and ways to combat griefing. An interesting topic considering
That's always what's hard to do is like how to balance world PvP with griefing. And it's like you just have to have good systems. Because you like open world PvP does have a lot of value. And I do think that people do like it, but the problem is that whenever it becomes just like this oppressive force that you can't go out into the world without having to deal with it constantly.
discussion happening around Ashes of Creation, but we'll touch on this later in the video. Finally, I couldn't end this segment by mentioning that the game, as you could probably tell from the trailer, is focusing highly on an action-based combat system with high-quality AAA graphics thanks to Unreal Engine 5, and will be launching on both PC and console. So, will likely be a heavy focus on a limited action set similar to games like Elder Scrolls Online or New World. Overall, the game looks very Black Desert Online-like.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a sequel to that game rather than Arcade. However, I think that is probably just down to the graphic style being very Korean-focused, so my first impressions are not too interesting to express. Generally, an action-based combat system tends to lack the massively multiplayer aspect because it's difficult to create group-focused synergies with action combat. However, due to the direction of the trailer and what
you see that happen with like New World and like tanking and like healing in that game is like a little bit scuffed.
Creative director expressed, it doesn't seem like Arcade is aiming to be a tight-knit, group-focused PvE MMORPG anyway, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah,
now, with the rose-tinted glasses coming off, it's time to discuss the elephant in the room, the question on everyone's mind, and likely the reason why this MMORPG will fail in the long run, similar to Arcade 1, the monetization. So, I don't have much knowledge when it comes to Arcade's history with pay-to-win and monetization. All I know is that after one particular update, the one that involved the Thunderstruck logs, the game pretty much solidified itself as dead because this particular item being available to purchase with real-life money ruined the economy permanently. This sparked the excessive amounts of fresh starts, manipulating the player base into thinking the economy was reset and therefore all progress along with it, with brand new servers. However, as history has shown us, fresh starts are not a fix. They are just a way to temporarily breathe life into an already dead corpse.
I think fresh starts are good whenever there's massive new content. Like, for example, whenever they made fresh starts for Wrath of the Lich King server and fresh starts for New World. That's good, but the thing is you can't just take the same game, re-release it again, and say, here you go, fresh start, do it all over again now.
Looking at you, New World. However, the insight I can offer you is my experiences with Cacao Games, an insidious plague upon the MMORPG genre and a publisher who destroyed the reputation and monetization of one of the only Korean MMORPGs to have genuine potential here in the West due to its extremely impressive world mechanics, high-quality visuals, and genuinely satisfying progression. Black Desert Online. I still consider that to be my main MMO, even though I haven't touched the game for 2 damn years since I started selling my soul to the mighty algorithm. BDO pretty much scratches all the itches I specifically look for in an MMO. But because of Cacao, Black Desert Online is plagued by every Western player's kryptonite. Yes, unnecessary amounts of cleavage, but also pay to win. When BDO was being
I feel like that's not really Western players' kryptonite anymore. Especially with things like WoW tokens and things like, Lost Ark. let's be honest. I think people are more okay with it now. But yeah, it's like, especially whenever there's a pay-to-win game, is whenever a pay-to-win game, a person who spends, let's say, $50 is less powerful than a person who spends $1,000, and a person who spends $1,000 is less powerful than a person who spends $10,000, and a person who spends $10,000 is less powerful than a person who spends 20. That's where the real problems come in with pay-to-win. Like, if there's just some sort of, like, crystalline aura or, like, some small amount of battle pass type thing, it's not really that big of a deal. But whenever you just have to continuously spend more and more money, that's whenever it sucks.
Published here in the West by Cacao Games, their representative assured us that the game would not launch with pay-to-win and had various interviews to assure us
No, I don't think they're going to launch it with pay-to-win either, because, see, you want to get, like, whenever you are fishing, you don't start with the hook. I mean, there's a hook in the ocean, the fish is going to be like, oh, fuck that. I don't want that. That's a fucking hook. I don't want to eat the hook. But if you put a worm on it, and they're like, oh shit, it's a worm. I'm hungry. I'm going to just go eat the worm. And then after they start eating on the worm, then comes the hook. And that's what they're going to try to do. You see, they get you into the game, and then after a while, they change the monetization. So I feel like that's what happened with Black Desert. Like, Black Desert on its US release was not pay to win. It had different things. It had microtransactions that you could buy that would make your character more effective in certain situations. However, it was not even remotely as pay to win as something like Lost Ark is. So yeah, and that's what they did with that's what they did with Black Desert. So I would assume, and also it seems like that's what they did with Arcade 1. That the game was not originally pay to win, and then some sort of update came out that made it pay to win. So, like, if this is two games that are effectively the exact same genre that they were both involved with, you can pretty much assume that that's what's going to happen again. Pets and costume buffs are the most advantage you could get, I think. Yeah.
This was the plan, which,
like,
as you would all expect, created a huge buzz of excitement for this next-generation open-world MMORPG releasing here in the West back in 2014. But that's their tactic, you see, my friends. Cacao Games are liars and cheats, outright deceiving players publicly without even acknowledging their deceit, as long as they got the bag.
Well, they never want to say that they lied. I mean, you can't fucking go and say, oh yeah, we just bullshitted you guys. But that's what happens.
Released here in the West, it launched with very minor pay-to-win aspects that were supplemented with in-game earnable items, but with the very first patch, they immediately went back on their word and begun injecting all the pay-to-win trash that we see today, ruining the game's potential to compete with the top spot due to its well-designed long-term progression.
And that's what the problem is that you have, I don't think that Black Desert's progression is well-designed, by the way. I think it's dog shit. But either way, it's certainly better than pay-to-win, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, I mean, of course that's what they're going to do, because, like, also the game might not be making enough money. And so they add this stuff in to make money back up for it.
That is now spoiled with pay-to-win shortcuts and garbage RNG systems that favor players who pay.
Yeah,
Cacao Games are trash, and even now, 10 years later, they are still fully looking to profit like parasites as they rebooted Arcade 1 the moment they acquired it, assuring everyone that they had removed the pay-to-win. No. They just replaced it with something even worse. Complete incompetence. Once again, ruining the reputation of Arcade's fresh start for the 10th time now. I've honestly lost count at this point, but it doesn't
makes me kind of want to try one of the fresh start servers just to see what they're like.
matter. The point is, Arcade 2 may be a well-made game, bringing back that seamless open-world gameplay, utilizing trade systems, housing, and ocean combat, but sadly, the game will be pay-to-win, no matter how much Cacao Games try to deceive you. This
I will take their word that it is not pay to win because I lose nothing for assuming that they will tell you the truth. But keep in mind, they said that it will not be pay to win on launch. Okay? As somebody who is an expert in adding qualifying statements to otherwise agreeable things in order to create a window for you to get out of them at the 11th hour, this is exactly what they're doing.
Is not a prediction. This is a warning. Do not let Cacao blind you with nostalgia and fake promises, for they have a reputation of lies, deceit, and incompetence, even as recent as last year.
That's pretty early.
Anyway,
pretty recent.
Enough doom and gloom. Cacao really get under my skin, and I'd rather talk about something far more relevant. A game that quite literally doesn't exist.
Ashes of Creation versus
Let's get one thing
2.
straight. Arcade as a...
This is like, would Goku win against Superman? Neither of them are fucking real. Yeah, it's like this imaginary fucking battle, you know?
A sandbox MMORPG is top tier. Even in its modern, unchained state, the game is well worth a try if you're rocking in the corner of your room desperately waiting for any kind of Ashes of Creation news. XL Games have proven themselves capable of designing a compelling world with unique MMORPG mechanics, and the fact that Ashes of Creation is taking the core premise of their game and building upon them brings me a lot of hopium. It's even implementing some vastly praised systems in a few of our older MMOs back before the genre became a corporate mess. Games like Eve, Lineage 2, and Star Wars Galaxies are the spices Steven and the team have chosen to cook with, and I, for one, am really looking forward to tasting the results. But will Arcade 2 really compete with Ashes of Creation? Will it...
It does not fill me with a lot of confidence whenever, there's a list of games and they're all dead. And it's like, hey, we're taken from these games. It's like, oh, I don't know about that. Oh, I don't know about that, man. It's hard to say. So I guess it really just depends on what it's actually like. We've talked so much about what Ashes of Creation could be, but who knows what it's really gonna be? We have no idea.
Overshadow our highly anticipated MMORPG? Or will it just be another fart in the wind, like Bless Online and Lost Ark? A difficult question indeed. There's two core differences.
I would not say Lost Ark is a fart in the wind. I feel like Lost Ark does have a very large community and a lot of people play the game. There's a lot of people that consume Lost Ark content. And I think that's because a lot of people play it. Copium? Oh, I don't know about I'm just looking at the numbers. I'm just saying, you look at Lost Ark on Twitch, Lost Ark on YouTube, the videos get a good amount of views, etc. I don't think it's crazy to say that Lost Ark is popular.
Between Ashes and Arcade 2. Firstly, Arcade is of course being designed with very Korean-based systems and gameplay. This will likely involve terrible balance based on monetization, daily gated systems based on monetization, progression designed for monetization, and very anime/sexually appealing characters. Four things Ashes of Creation are aiming to steer clear from. The second core difference is the obvious direction in design philosophy. Intrepid are fully focused on carefully designing a game that is catered specifically to Steven's design pillars, but are open to making reasonable changes that continue to improve the game without compromising any of them core philosophies. Sadly,
I think that's a smart thing to do. I mean, you can never really... I think it's always bad to be so attached to an idea that the idea takes precedence over anything else. Just because the idea is good, or that there's some kind of great thing, oh yeah, look at this idea, we want it to be like this, well, what if the players don't like it? Yeah, the vision can be instead of being a guiding principle, it can be effectively chains. It can hold the game back.
I get the feeling XL Games will be focused on systems that can be monetized. Labor, RNG, and awful daily gated systems to push retention in the most brain-dead, awful ways possible. I think we'll end up seeing a repeat of Arcade 1 here in the current year, hurt even further due to their reputation already doing some fatal damage to the game's launch. We'll need some copium-powered rose-tinted goggles to make it through the launch of this one, I fear, and hey, maybe I'll be selling them as merch when
clever.
Ashes of Creation's Alpha 2 draws near. Do I think Arcade 2 will be an improvement to the original?
Probably.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 alone is offering some insane perks that are tailored specifically for MMORPGs, but it's the core of what makes Arcade special that I'm worried about. Sure, the housing systems and trade are being improved, however, because of the combat system completely changing to an action-focused one, making this trailer feel very BDO-like, I feel this game will do something similar to Guild Wars 2, where the game reflects its predecessor in name and lore only. Arcade 2 will likely feel like a completely new game, rather than a sequel to the much beloved MMORPG people fell in love with all them years ago.
I think having soft tab targeting is probably a good idea, without having every single attack be directly locked on through tab targeting. I do think it's like soft tab targeting is probably better, because I remember like playing New World, for example. I wish I could just tab target, and if I could, like, I don't like, for example, aiming every single auto attack. Like, that's not fun for me. It's fucking annoying.
But as usual, I am just one nerd desperate for a good MMO, and my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. And hey, with only 1 week left until the Ashes of Creation livestream, why not come join our Discord, as we'll be ramping up some interesting discussion going into it this month.
Yep.
Interestingly, there's very little information related to what will be revealed, but I'm sure it'll be another banger. Right?
Oh my, but Nark, my glorious master. According to my readings, your audience have quit watching your videos in droves. Perhaps your subject matter lately is considered... how do you put it in human terms? Complete dogshit. This is most concerning. If you do not regain a sizable audience, using dangerous amounts of copium, I fear your channel will be lost.
And to that I say, listen, Copium Bot, I know the channel's dying again, I can see the bloody analytics, but that's perfectly normal. Ashes of Creation is just in a lull whilst it prepares to ramp up for a big end-of-year reveal, and if you're wondering where such baseless expectations are coming from, then... well, I think you already know at this point, because I'm high on copium.
Alright, yep. There we go. Let's see here. Is the guy obsessed about copium? It's just a meme, man. I wouldn't read too much into it. Yeah, let me link you guys. We've watched a lot of Narc videos over the years. I thought this one was pretty good, actually. Obviously, a lot of people are excited about Arcade. I probably will talk to some of the guys about it whenever I go. People were asking about if I'm going to the event. The answer is yes. I figured that I would hold off and go to the event whenever because he was going to host, because it's on Soda's stream, right? Yeah, I was going to wait and host into it. He just hasn't gone live yet. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. For that, god damn it, I'm waiting for that to happen. Yeah, that's all there is to it. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Arcade too. Like, any new MMO I'll want to play, because I just think that they're really exciting. Like, that's all it really comes down to. A Naked Jakey video about ads in video games. Let me see what that is. I'm not going to watch it today, but I will watch it another time. Let's see here. Ads in video games. Yes, we will absolutely watch this. Save to watch it. Yeah, I'll watch that probably tomorrow. Okay, let me go back over here and look at this again. But yeah, Arcade 2, I'm excited for the game, but yeah, it seems like something that's going to be pay to win for sure. Abso-fucking-lutely. I fully expect it to be pay to win.